but thank you for being here. Welcome to VivianeArt. I'm VivianeArt, and I'm really, really proud of this exhibition tonight, and so happy to have Julie Beugin with us for her first solo exhibition of work in her hometown, Calgary, Alberta. Julie grew up in Calgary, went to school in Calgary, and then left for Vancouver to Emily Carr to do her bachelor's degree in fine art. She went on to Montreal to do her master's degree. Recognized for her incredible talent, she was shortlisted for the RBC Painting Prize in 2009, and that year moved to Berlin. I think for what was supposed to be a short-term stay, and has turned into 7 years.
Looking at the architecture of the city has been interesting after not being here for so long and seeing how much I look for things in Calgary, in Berlin, and like the strong sunlight in Calgary. And I'm always in Berlin, always looking for these strong sunbeams that pop out the architecture. And Berlin is such a gray city, so it's like this sunlight archetype has been imprinted on me from growing up in Calgary. I went to Berlin right after grad school, so it gave me this kind of freedom and distance from what I had done before, so a way to completely change my work in a place where nobody knew me. And my work became very abstract when I was in Berlin. It used to have much more landscape references that made a lot more sense in Canada directly, with mountains and cabins and this kind of space I'd grown up in. And then in Berlin, it's so urban and so much of the city that the landscape started to disappear, and I started to look for the landscape in the urban space, like kind of shaped hedges, and the architecture became the focus. These are abstract paintings, but they base them on collages of photographs I take in the city as I walk around. And I often take close-ups of architecture and shapes and things that I see as I walk around. I then make a digital collage in my laptop and Photoshop, very basic lasso tool in Photoshop, just use 3 or 4 photos and smush them together, and then choose the best of those as kind of the skeleton for a painting. And I'll do a quick pencil line on the white surface, and that'll be my initial skeleton, and then kind of hang all these gestures on it. As I make paintings, I look for this really fresh, transparent thing. So as painting gets too full of paint marks or too opaque, I unstretch it and I cut it up. And I use the paintings that don't work to kind of regenerate new paintings that are smaller. And so my studio is like this ecosystem where the big paintings feed into the smaller paintings, and it's this constant kind of flow of shapes from back and forth. It's very intuitive, so it's formal decisions like what works where. Sometimes the echo of one shape will make something just snap in, or a color, but it's a great way to paint because I can try 10 different options before choosing, you know, and then I can also keep the transparency in the small sections rather than kind of struggling and working through and overpainting. So it lets me be quite free. I often paint with the painting lying on the ground, and it's important for me that I kind of let a certain amount of gravity take over, or that it's not just me being really imposing my opinion or direction on things, but that the materials itself take over. And there's a lot of accident. In the one, it's hard to see because there's people in front of it, but there's these round circles of drips on it. And that you can see the gravity of how I painted it on the ground, and then those accidents become part of it. And I can kind of choose whether to keep them or not, whether they help or not. I think it's important for me that my gesture has a sense of flow, in that it follows its own tendencies without me forcing it in one way or directing it. But also just having the kind of awareness to stop at a certain time or to allow something to move. It's about making decisions and being very sensitive to what is happening rather than constructing something and forcing that upon a painting. I want the painting to slowly grow and emerge in this kind of organic way rather than an aggressive forcing my own ideas on it. I want it to kind of not be about my ego necessarily, but more about this kind of slow growth.
Julie, and please enjoy the paintings. If you want to buy one, you know where to find me.